In this video, we're going to explain the maximum and the minimum of a function. So we said that the function takes the x and brings out the y. So if x is our input, y is our output. And when we're talking about the maximum or the minimum of the function, we're usually referring to the y, because this is the one we are interested in when we're talking about the maximum or the minimum of the function. So if I have something like this and my function looks something like that, and I told you that this point is 1 and 4. So this means if I have 1 and 4, this means that the x is 1 and the y is 4. If I told you what is the maximum of the function, if the question is asking for the maximum of the function, so what will the answer be? Is it the 1 or is it the 4? Well, we said that the maximum of the function always refers to the y value. So if you have something like this, you'll always look at the y value. So you're going to say that the maximum is 4. In the same sense, if you have something like this, if the function, let's say, looks something like this, and you have this to be 2 and -1. This point is clearly the minimum of the function. This is the lowest point on the function. So if I told you here that I want the minimum of the function, the question is asking for the minimum of the function, again, you have two values, the x value and the y value. But we said when we're talking about the maximum and the minimum, we're always referring to the y value. So this means that you look at the y value at this point, the minimum point. So you're going to say it's going to be -1. Okay. There is a different question that sometimes can be confusing. Now he can ask you a different question, which says that what is the value of x when the function is at its maximum? When the function is at its maximum. So this is a completely different question. Why is that? Because now he's asking for the value of x. He's clearly stating that I want the value of x at the maximum. So I look at the maximum of the function, which is here, but now since he's asking for the value of x, I'll return the value of x at this maximum. So I'm going to say that the answer to this question is 1. And again, we said that this is a completely different question from just asking what is the maximum of the function. Okay. So in the same sense, again, he can ask you what is the value of x at which the function is at its minimum. When the function is at its minimum. So in this case, again, in this question, he's asking for x at the minimum. So you look at the minimum, but you will not return the value of y. You'll return the value of x. You'll answer the value of x, which is 2. Okay. So on this particular idea, we have two different questions. One relates to the value of y, one relates to the value of x. So you have to be very careful when answering this question. You have to know if he's just asking for the maximum or a minimum, then you will answer with the value of y for the function. Or he's clearly stating that I want the value of x at the maximum or the minimum, then you'll have to return the value of x. Another concept on this, notice that we have two different kinds of function. We have a continuous function and a discontinuous function, or a finite and infinite function. So if I have a function that looks like this and a function that looks like this. If I told you that this point, let's say, is -3 and -1, and this point is, let's say, 5 and 2. This is what we call a finite function or a discontinuous function, meaning that the function ends at these 2 points. And the notation for that is always you'll have these bold points at the end of the function. This means that the function stops at these 2 points. So if I told you what is the minimum of the function, remember that minimum translates to the value of y. So you're going to say that the minimum, you look at the y here, which is -1. And what is the maximum of the function? Maximum relates to the value of y. So you're going to look for the maximum value of y, which is 2. But in this problem, if you have, let's say, this is 1 and 5, this point is 1 and 5, meaning that the value of x here is 1 and the y is 5. If I told you what is the minimum of the function, this is a continuous function, it goes indefinitely. It will not stop since I did not indicate that it stops. So I just have to assume that it's going to go to negative infinity. So if this keeps going down, and so on, and it never stops, so the minimum of the function is going to be actually here negative infinity, right? And the maximum of the function, this is easy because you have the maximum, which is the highest point here. So again, when I'm talking about the maximum, I'll just return the value of y. So we're going to say that the maximum here is 5, and that covers the topic of maximum and minimum of the function.